Hurricane Ida is bearing down on the Louisiana coast. We'll provide an update for you from the port of New Orleans. Also, Royal Caribbean's Oasis of the Seas has completed her test sailing, a 6-day voyage, and she could receive her CDC certification as soon as this week. Overnight, the CDC has dropped even more guidance for cruise ship operators. We're going to tell you everything you have to know. All this next on Midships. Hey, welcome to the Midships YouTube channel. I'm your Captain Corey, and today we're going to go over all the cruise news that you need to know for this Sunday. But before we get started, I want to remind you our giveaway is live. If you'd like to enter to win these amazing cruise swag products, including the seasickness wristbands, passport holder with COVID sleeve, and magnetic cruise line hooks for your cabin, all you have to do is go to the giveaway link in the description below or follow this link in the upper corner of the video. It'll take you to the giveaway video, which gives you more information on how to enter. If you just can't wait to get your hands on these giveaway products or any of the products we've given away on this channel, there are Amazon links down in the description below. Just click the link and it will open directly in your Amazon app or Amazon webpage in your browser. So let's get started by talking about the Oasis of the Seas. She recently finished her test sailing and is now back in port in Bayonne, New Jersey. In an article from cruisehive.com's Robert McGilvery, Oasis of the Seas returns to New Jersey after test cruise. After the longest test cruise that any Royal Caribbean ship has performed so far, Oasis of the Seas has made her return to Cape Liberty Cruise Port in Bayonne, New Jersey. The first ever Oasis-class vessel to operate from the New York City and New Jersey harbor area set sail on her test cruise on August 22nd. She has been cruising towards the Bahamas and called only at perfect day for Coco Cay. With her test cruise complete, Oasis of the Seas should now be receiving her conditional sailing certificate from the CDC. This will allow the cruise line to sail with both vaccinated and unvaccinated guests if they choose to do so in the future. Now, as a reminder, these test sailings are being performed by the cruise lines to be more inclusive of all potential passengers that would like to book a cruise on their vessel. Now, for the time being, most of these cruise lines are only allowing vaccinated passengers because of new protocols put in place by the Bahamian government that require anyone 12 and older to be fully vaccinated to enter Bahamian ports. So essentially, this test sailing is kind of all for naught in the short term. Maybe in the long term, it will pay off more, though, for Royal Caribbean. Let's hop back in the article. What is a test cruise? A test cruise is a simulated voyage that a ship must undertake to sail with vaccinated and unvaccinated guests together. During the test cruise, the CDC checks if the cruise line and the vessel specifically comply with numerous protocols and rules the agency has developed to ensure sailing can be done safely. Actually, in a few minutes, we're going to be talking about even more rules the CDC is putting in place. Maybe not so much rules, but suggestions that these cruise lines should be following to keep passengers safe. Cruise lines do this by sailing under realistic conditions with volunteers that act like passengers on board. The protocols that the CDC checked on board Oasis of the Seas and which the vessel had to comply with on its voyage to the Bahamas include how the cruise line deals with guests that are confirmed or suspected of having COVID, including how to transfer the guests from their cabins to isolation and off the ship if it becomes necessary, evacuation procedures for positive cases and all guests in case of an outbreak on board the ship, how the cruise line operates their private island excursions and regular port excursions, onboard activities, mask wearing on board and social distancing policies, and embarkation and disembarkation policies, including check-in procedures. The CDC could also decide to check any medical facilities on board the ship, procedures for crew on board, testing, and much more. Once the CDC is satisfied Oasis of the Seas complies with its procedures, it will be issued a conditional sailing certificate. So once again, awesome news coming out of Cape Liberty, New Jersey. Welcome home, Oasis of the Seas. Now, while we're talking about all of these CDC policies and protocols, late last night, they have actually issued updates. and new guidance for cruise lines that the Midships family might want to know about. So we're going to actually dive a little bit deeper into what this new guidance and these new policies are, including a new color for ships sailing out of Florida that will be included on the CDC's tracking website, which is linked in the description below. While you're down there, please subscribe to the Midships channel, and if you absolutely love cruising, hit the thumbs up button. Now let's get into this article from cruisehive.com. By Emery's Thacker, CDC makes multiple changes to its conditional sailing order for cruise ships. The U.S. CDC has made several changes to its technical instructions under the Conditional Sailing Order, or CSO. The updates made on August 27, 2021, cover topics such as face masks. They change language reflecting that the Conditional Sail Order is just a recommendation in the state of Florida. They give revised testing requirements and add a new color status to their ships tracker. CDC updates for cruise ships. The Conditional Sail Order has been in place since the end of October 2020, and despite the complex technical instructions, cruise lines have gone above and beyond to make sure they are following the guidance. The situation has now turned around, with cruise lines leading the way and implementing their own protocols to keep passengers and crews safe during voyages. Many of the CDC updates from yesterday reflect what the cruise lines have already implemented due to growing concerns about the Delta variant. Over the past 2 to 3 weeks, we've seen cruise lines come out with more and more restrictive policies on masking, testing, and vaccinations on board their ships. It looks like the CDC has taken notice and they like a lot of these policies, so they wanted to hop on and include them in their conditional sail order. Let's read on a little bit more about what's new. Face mask policies. One of the main updates is focused on face masks, where the CDC now advises that cruise lines voluntarily reconsider stricter measures on board for guests and crew members. And we will read this summary of recent changes from the CDC's website. And to summarize the changes, the CDC has added language advising cruise ship operators to voluntarily reconsider the following masking policies: allowing fully vaccinated crew to remove masks indoors in areas that are inaccessible to passengers, designating areas as only accessible to fully vaccinated passengers and crew where masks and physical distancing are no longer required, advising passengers and crew on ships with 95% of crew and passengers are fully vaccinated that they do not have to wear a mask or maintain physical distancing in any areas. This change was based on the CDC's guidance for fully vaccinated people and the increased transmissibility of some of SARS-CoV-2 variants. So essentially what this says, it kind of sounds like the CDC says take the mask off if you're vaccinated, but no, it means exactly the opposite. The CDC is actually advising that these mask-free zones for fully vaccinated crew and passengers be done away with. Essentially, they're advising that you wear a mask at all times indoors on these cruise ships. So that is sort of the TLDR, too long didn't read, for this policy change. So we're going to hop into a few more of the face mask policies that the CDC is asking cruise lines to reconsider in light of the Delta variant. Some of these policies are allowing fully vaccinated crew to remove masks in indoor areas inaccessible to passengers. CDC does not want this to go on anymore. CDC does not want designated areas only accessible to fully vaccinated passengers and crew where masks and physical distancing are not required. And the CDC does not want you to advise passengers and crew on 95% vaccinated voyages that they do not have to wear a mask or maintain physical distancing in any areas. So essentially, masking and physical distancing is coming back hot and heavy on board cruise ships in light of these new CDC guidelines. Some cruise lines have already implemented more restrictions on face masks due to new COVID variants. Carnival Cruise Lines implemented its updated mask guidance from August 7th, with all guests now advised to wear a face mask while indoors and required to wear a mask in elevators and in designated indoor entertainment areas and all retail shops, also in the casino. For Royal Caribbean, it gets slightly more complex due to different venues depending on vaccination status. Currently, the cruise line requires all guests to wear a face mask while indoors, but there are exceptions such as designated venues for fully vaccinated guests. When it comes to Royal's crew, they already wear face masks on board, no matter their vaccine status. In fact, Royal Caribbean and NCL have all crew members fully vaccinated to make sure their guests remain protected. So a few weeks ago, we introduced you to the CDC's Check Your Ship's Color Status website. If you've not visited the website, or if you'd like to visit the website, it is linked in the description below. We'll take a quick peek at this website, and then we're going to hop back into the article and discuss a new status which is currently being added online. So this is the CDC's Color Status website. So essentially what this gives you sort of an overview of the ship's status. And these are broken down by all of the major ships from all of the major cruise line companies here in the United States. And there are colors such as orange, yellow, green, and now we're going to see a new color, which is gray. And I'm going to tell you more about that color now. So the new gray status color is introduced. There has been much talk about the color status of cruise ships that have recently restarted operations. It's undoubtedly a very fluid situation with cruise lines operating under the new reality our world faces. There is now the addition of a gray status, which the CDC will apply to a cruise ship sailing out of Florida. This means that the CDC won't be tracking any cases on board that ship, including any protocols in place. This is due to the state of Florida winning their lawsuit against the CDC on making the conditional sail order just a recommendation instead of a requirement. So just to clarify the other color statuses, there's green, which means there's no COVID on board the ship. There's orange, which means there's COVID on board, but it's below the threshold for the CDC to check in. And then a yellow status means that it's reached a threshold where the CDC is now going to begin monitoring the operations of that vessel. Oh, and also there's red status, which means go back to port and get everybody off the ship immediately. So we don't want to see any red status. To this point, we have not seen any ships reach red status, and we hope that that doesn't happen because we don't want that in the news. Let's talk about the testing policies that the CDC is now recommending for cruise lines in the US. Testing for vaccinated passengers within 2 days. The CDC has followed the lead from multiple cruise lines and now is requiring that even fully vaccinated passengers show a negative test result before embarking on a cruise. The CDC says in a quote, "Fully vaccinated passengers must present a SARS-CoV-2 negative viral test result at the time of embarkation. The specimen must be taken no more than 2 days prior to boarding." This is something that the cruise lines recently implemented as part of their protocols due to the Delta variant. Carnival Cruise Line implemented updated testing for fully vaccinated guests back on August 14th, but it's currently within 3 days rather than the CDC's recommended 2 days. The cruise line says fully vaccinated guests must also present the negative results of a COVID-19 PCR or antigen test taken within 3 days prior to their embarkation. For Royal Caribbean, protocols for testing vaccinated passengers are similar and the same as Carnival when it comes to within 3 days. There are also specific details regarding Florida, so guests will need to check all the important information before their cruise departs to make sure no changes have been missed. That's why it's an excellent decision to subscribe to the Midships channel if you have an upcoming cruise, because we are reporting you timely information like this on the new testing and tracing requirements that you will have to pass in order to embark on your next cruise. But it's also very important that you are your own advocate and you are constantly checking in on your cruise liner's website. Check with your cruise planner, check on your cruise line's app on your cell phone. It's also a really good idea to check the social media accounts for your cruise line because that's a really good place to find the newest information as it breaks and to really get notified of what's going on with your cruise ship. So Hurricane Ida has turned out to be a Category 4 storm, which is just monstrous. And we have heard words like destruction and devastation like you've not seen in years from news reports coming out of the Louisiana area. And I wanted to give you a quick update on the port of New Orleans and let you know sort of what their response is to the storm. In the coming days, we're going to be following up with news coming out of the port, and we're also going to check on sister port nearby in Mobile, Alabama, who also could have been affected by this storm. There are cruises slated to go out of Port New Orleans in the coming months, and we just want to make sure that those are still on track. So let's look at portnola.com, and this is a storm update that the Port of NOLA has posted on their webpage. Port NOLA and its operators have begun storm preparations for Hurricane Ida. We will continue to monitor the situation and provide updates as we receive more information about the storm's potential impacts on port operations. And then if you followed the link there, it goes on to give a little bit more information. So the Port of New Orleans has executed storm preparations and is monitoring Hurricane Ida, which has been forecast to make landfall along the Gulf Coast on Sunday, August 29th. And that's correct. It hit around 1 p.m. as a Category 4 storm. We will continue to monitor the situation and provide updates as we receive information. The Port Administration Building and community offices will be closed on Monday, August 31st. Also closed on Monday will be terminal operations and cargo operations in the port. So Port NOLA is locking down for Ida. We wish everyone up in New Orleans the best health and safety that you can possibly have. If you've not yet left town, go ahead and hunker down and ride this one out. I know the Midships family has viewers up in Louisiana, so we wish you all the very best, and we are praying for you guys. Don't forget to hit the link below and enter our giveaway, and be sure you're subscribed to the Midships channel if you don't want to miss daily updates on cruise news. Until next time, we'll see you on the Midships.